Welcome to the RutPOP podcast. I am one of your hosts, Zach Rutledge, along with our other host, coming at you from an undisclosed location, Brandon Rutledge, everybody. Brandon Rutledge. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Give him a round of applause. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's been a minute, bro.
Yeah. How long's it been?
I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know. And obviously we are dealing.
It was pre-Halloween.
It was pre-Halloween. I had back-to-back traveling trips. That seems redundant. I had back-to-back traveling business trips. Yeah, I know.
Traveling triple
trips.
On trampolines.
Traveling triple trips on trampolines. And yes, very much so. So I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. I don't either.
What were you going to say?
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know.
Just spit it out already.
But we got I ended up coming back the week before Halloween and got the COVID, which was super fun.
Which is why I'm wearing this mask.
I know, even through the interwaves, the internet waves, webby waves. We've got we have to wear masks. Your mask though is on freaking point.
Yeah.
Suck it, Trebek. It's very timely.
It's so sad that we lost like so close to each other.
Yeah. It was almost like they knew they could not live without each other. You know?
Yeah. That's very true.
I'm following you. Wait, who went first?
Sean Connery.
Connery went first? Or I thought
so.
Trebek went first. Wait.
I don't know.
I can't remember either.
I can't remember either.
Huh.
I know I was close. It was like within days.
Right. That's what I mean. It was like one couldn't live without the other or something, which is a totally fabricated, rivalry. Like they don't have you know what I mean? It was a SNL fabricated rivalry.
Right. Yeah. I don't think they ever appeared on screen or on a show together. No. It was just, it was all Daryl Hannah and Will Ferrell.
Yeah. So it's like
on Saturday Night Live.
Right. But
I'll take the rapist for apology. That's therapist, Sean.
Oh man. I hate 2020, man. I mean, we lost those guys.
Right.
David Prowse passed away the other day. Like we're
David Prowse.
We're only
the guy who was in Darth Vader's suit.
It was weird.
Is it safe to take this thing off? I'm not going to.
You're not going to get COVID through the airwaves.
Through the airwaves.
Yes,
okay.
we are.
It's hot. I feel like Bane.
Bane, you need to take off the mask and become one with your.
You think darkness is your ally?
You think darkness is your ally? Oh.
You merely adapted to the darkness.
It's weird.
Whereas I was born.
I was born in it. God. And even worse still, like
I can breathe.
You can breathe. I still think you should take your headphones and turn them behind your head because then you become Lobot. Yes.
Lobot like this?
Yes. I don't know if they'll stay on like that.
Do I look like Lobot?
You kind of do. You got a nice Lobot. You got a nice Lobot vibe to you.
What, Geordie LaForge?
Oh my God. You need to. You're in the darkness.
I thought he would have made a good Jeopardy host. Old LeVar.
Yeah.
LeVar Burton.
I mean, it was
Geordie LaForge.
I saw a great meme a couple months ago, and it was like if the world, if you want the world to get through COVID-19, we just need these three guys or something to lead the way, and it was Mr. Rogers, Bob Ross, and LeVar Burton.
Nice. Reading Rainbow.
Happy Trees. And
beat the devil out
in the neighborhood.
If only we could beat the devil out of 2020.
It's been fantastic. So on Twitch, they have Bob Ross. Bob Ross has a channel on Twitch, even though he's obviously passed away. It's his,
awesome.
his foundation or whatever has it. And on the weekends, they run marathons every week, like starting Friday afternoon, and they go all the way till Monday morning. And it's
great. I wish I had a Bob Ross painting like right there.
I'm sure you can make it. Anyone can make it. It's real easy. It's just anybody can do it. We're just there are no accidents, or whatever he says.
Accidents.
Happy accidents, whatever it is. Anyway, there has been so much that has happened since we last spoke. Like this could be the Lord of the Rings of all podcasts, but we won't do that. We'll split it up and keep coming back to things. Obviously, we had the election. I was coherent enough during my COVID-19 dealio to watch the election and all the shenanigans associated with that. That was epic TV. Yeah. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, Trump just kept losing.
Yeah, I thought it was.
He lost the election. He lost in court, and he lost in court again.
And yet he
lost in court like 30 more times.
And yet he still continues to fight.
He's still losing.
He's still losing. Like he continues to fight and continues to lose.
A loser.
But it was funny. All the kids were calling it the Map Show. I wish Mommy and Daddy would stop watching the Map Show.
Oh, the Map Show. Well, at least they're able to like recognize and see the United States and recognize that that it's a map,
right?
What our nation looks like.
I saw a great GIF online where it took like the population centers.
GIF? I thought it was GIF.
No, GIF is a peanut butter. We've been over this. GIF is on the internet. GIF is in your cupboard.
Well, I thought they were both
no,
GIF.
One's a GIF, one's a GIF.
One's a GIF and one's a GIF.
One's a GIF, one's a GIF. This has been proven. We've gone. Whoever created the first GIF was like, he held up a peanut butter jar and he was like, GIF, GIF, like.
That's awesome.
He settled that debate once and for all.
That's awesome.
But it showed the population centers across the.
I want to see the MythBusters
on the GIF versus GIF
issue.
I'm telling you,
GIF versus GIF.
GIF. Redonkulous. Either way you slice it, it's redonkulous.
Tomato,
potato.
Or if you're Christopher Walken, potato, tomato.
Okay.
Fellas, you're gonna want that cowbell.
But anyway, the population, it showed the population centers like, because it looked like a big sea of red, and then when they actually drilled down where all the population was, there wasn't that much red anywhere. Thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, Trump keeps showing these maps of all this red.
Right.
It's like counties don't vote, dude. People do. It's not
the fact that he came. The fact that he sat there at his little tiny desk and was like, "No, there's no way he got 80 million votes." I'm like, yes, there is. There is very much a way he got 80 million votes.
The numbers just keep going up. It's not allowed. Yeah. Like, dude, do you understand the definition of counting?
1, 2.
1, 2.
I still think
the numbers go up.
Did anyone else find it?
You count.
Did anyone else find it ironic though that the one state that pretty much revolves around counting in Nevada couldn't figure out how to count votes? I mean, come on.
Yeah, they took forever.
You count for a living. Like that's what your entire state does. Is count vote. There's count, and you couldn't count votes. Give me a break. Anyway,
and there's only two places where there's population, Reno, and
right?
Vegas.
And it's like
all the other
and both of them are based around counting. I'm like, come on, like everything else is just space. Like it's just space. It's rocks and mountains. Like, come on, desert. Like give me a break. Like count your votes. They just didn't want to be. No pun intended. They didn't want to be held accountable for the election. Like they were like, please, somebody, God, bail us out. So you're not relying on us. Somebody else needs to carry this thing. So it's not just on us. We don't want to be responsible. That's what it was.
And they weren't. They held out to like Pennsylvania and Georgia.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think they counted their damn votes. They just weren't posting them. They weren't letting anybody know they actually counted them. Had to have been. Whatever.
Yeah. That's funny.
And
they just keep finding things and counting them.
You just keep finding
that's what you're supposed to do.
Votes in the darkness. Don't believe your eyes.
Yeah, my Trump impression and my Bane impression are kind of the same thing.
Imagine Bane sitting at his tiny desk. His little tiny desk.
I am Gotham's reckoning.
The White House is reckoning in my tiny desk. Whatever.
That was hilarious.
Anyway.
Have you seen the ones where they replaced it with like a play school desk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, you opened yourself up for this, dude. Like come on. Like who put that desk there? Like who, and how did he not walk into that room and go, nope. You know what I mean? For a guy that's all about like the biglies of the world, like how did he not walk into that room and go, that's not bigly enough. I need it more bigly, please. Whatever.
I don't know. It needs to be more huge.
So speaking of old Trumpster and everything like that, we haven't hung out or talked really on a podcast since the epic return of our favorite documentarian Borat Rutledge, however you say his name.
Yeah, I was looking forward to talking about that prior to the election.
I know.
Because it was such a perfect satire.
It was great.
Of all the crap that's been going on for the past 4 years.
So give me your thoughts. On it.
Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant satire. I'm kind of removed from it. I haven't watched it in a while.
Right.
But through this whole thing, like 4 years ago, and it probably wasn't 4 years, probably maybe 3 years ago, I was so fed up with all the crap that was going on and all the BS that was spewing from, his syphilitic mind, that I wanted to write a satire about this. I think I called it like the apotheosis of Ronald Drumpf or something like that. And I was trying to write this, satire, and I honestly I couldn't think of anything funny about the situation that has been going on for the past 3 years, because we were so dangerously close, and still are dangerously close, to fascism in the United States. That I just couldn't think of anything remotely funny to write about. But he did. Sacha Baron Cohen did.
Yeah, and what I haven't been able to figure out is he made that movie so fast during the pandemic. When did the idea pop in his head to do it? Was he already in the process of making it, and then the pandemic hit, or did the pandemic happen and he goes, I got an idea? Like, have you heard like which way he went with that? Because I have not.
I have no idea.
Because
I'd be curious to see that myself, because it was so brilliant having him.
Well, it came,
spoiler alert that he's the zero.
Yeah, he's patient zero. Right, exactly. He's the cause of the pandemic, and that's the whole thing. Is like,
and it was to get back at America for the first Borat movie,
and so
it was so brilliant.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you, you know what I mean? Like, did they set out to make Borat 2 subsequent movie film? Or
subsequent movie.
I love it.
It
is great, which is the title of this podcast, by the way. How about a subsequent movie film?
About a subsequent movie film. That's
so. You know what I mean? Like, did he set out to? He's like, yeah, I have an idea. I want to introduce like a daughter kind of thing, right, to kind of pass the torch along, and then but then the story shifted, so he had to kind of rewrite it as he went along. Like, at what point did he decide, hey, I'm going to be patient zero for this deadly fire? I should laugh at it, but it's like, it's just crazy how quickly it turned throughout the course of the movie. And then going back, if he didn't decide to do it until the pandemic hit, oh my gosh, like that, like to come up with that, get it going, get it, you know what I'm saying? Because here's,
well, I know he had that, I think it's a show on Showtime where he was basically just going around the country and just messing with politicians, just dressing up and, going out, to campaign speeches and stuff like that and just messing with politicians. Right. Like, I don't remember what the show is, but I'm sure IMDb would tell us what it was. But I know he's been doing that for the past couple of years.
Okay, so I didn't know that. I hadn't heard about that. Interesting.
Yeah, it's called like Made in America or something like that. But it's just him like messing with politicians across the U.S. Gotcha. So I know he's been doing that. I real quick, I found the little synopsis that I wrote for the satire.
Oh my God! Please.
The apotheosis of Ronald Trump happened to the horror and amazement in bipartisan America. He made people believe that once upon a time, America was better than it is now. Make America great again.
Great. That's awesome. What I need to do is I need to find
my little
I need to find an animator that we can just write that for, and then they can do an animated film with it. A la Space Ghost or something, right?
And I had a little song that I wrote to it. It's sung to the tune of Elton John's "Tiny Dancer," and it's called "Tiny Hands, Sir."
Tiny Hands, Sir.
Tiny Hands, Sir. Hold me closer, tiny hands, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Because his hands are so huge,
bigly. So speaking of messing with politicians, that moment in the film, there's a great interview Sasha did about him and what it took for him to get to that Republican convention or wherever it was that he messed with Mike Pence.
Michael Pence. That was amazing.
I went back. Like, you can find that particular convention on YouTube or wherever, like the actual C-SPAN feed of it, and see Sasha
really,
as in his Trump costume, yelling, and then the crowd trying to yell louder to drown him out so he doesn't.
Wow.
So, but he, it's fascinating to listen to his story of how he got through security, because he was wearing the costume.
Who is America? That's the TV series he did on Showtime.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, he had like 20 different characters that he played.
God. It's great.
Dr. Narracane DeLegicacello, Gio Monaldo, Colonel Aaron Moret. Yeah, he just like dressed up as all these crazy characters and just like trolled politicians across America.
It's fantastic.
So I'm sure he came up with the idea, while he was doing that show.
Right.
And then COVID hit, and it was like the perfect storm.
It's a good possibility. Yeah, he wanted to mess with them, and like I said, I wonder if he had already, I had this idea about his, like, bringing in a daughter and kind of, again, passing the torch kind of thing that way, and because again, to cast it quickly, like they went through a huge casting call to find Maria Bakalova. Okay.
Balaclava.
Don't do that to me, because I'll end up saying it that way. You can't. I already struggle with names so bad that you can't. That was, yeah. Just gonna call her Maria. But they went through a huge casting call just to track her down, and so to have the time to do that, I feel like they would have already been working on it.
She thought it was. I read that she thought it was just a scam.
Right.
she didn't think that she was actually, trying out for this part. She thought it was just kind of a scam, but she did it anyway.
But she stole the absolute show, and
oh yeah, she was brilliant.
And that was, and honestly, that was the brilliance of Sasha, was he knew we didn't necessarily, like, as much as we thought we didn't necessarily want another Borat movie of Borat from like the first one, just doing shenanigans and stuff like that. He gave us little tastes of it here and there, but it was really kind of like her movie almost. And
yeah, it was like the first one was him like basically being like a frat boy and trying to get other frat boys to join along with him, and just, made the movie for frat boys to laugh at.
It was a prank movie.
You know what I mean?
It was a jackass movie. I mean, that's really what I went back, and while I had COVID, I went back and watched the first one again, and because I had forgotten, you remember elements of it, but I didn't remember like all of it. And so I went back and watched it again, and that was the first thing I thought of, was like, this is more like a jackass movie than the second one was. The second one had a lot of heart to it, and it was honestly a great father-daughter story, with those shenanigan elements in there. But she was phenomenal, to the point where I'm sure her phone is probably ringing off the hook at this point to get her into other things. And,
yeah, everybody wants her in.
Yeah, she's the next hot item for sure. Like they're gonna want her in this movie or that movie and see what she's capable of. There's just so many great moments in that thing. Did you see the aftermath? They released a clip of her being invited to the White House as a fake reporter, like some idiot in Trump's circle or whatever. She talked this person in, like called this person and made her believe that that she was a member of this right-wing, crazy news organization. And so they invite her along and like let her like take a tour of the White House and sat her in the press room. And the best part was they like nobody was wearing masks or anything like that. And she went on record afterwards and said, I was actually kind of fearful for my life, because nobody in that White House was wearing masks or social distancing, and I was afraid I was going to catch this virus and get super sick from it. So she was legitimately,
which is what happened.
Right.
She should have legitimately been scared.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
Exactly.
The super spreader in chief super spread COVID all around the White House.
Yeah.
And the country. I'm sure COVID wouldn't be nearly as bad right now if he hadn't done those stupid rallies.
It was a perfect storm, because you had all the rallies leading up to Halloween, leading up to an election.
Kicked my light.
Right? So boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It was like back to back to back. And so it just, and that's why the numbers are going freaking berserk right now. I mean, what do you expect's going to happen? It's just stupid.
Yeah. That's what happens when you elect a moron to the highest office in the land.
So they did a phenomenal job with that movie. They frankly knocked it out of the park. It's one of those movies where I want to go back and know now, after I've seen it several times, what elements were who was in on what and everything like that. Like, I know when he sat down with the two Jewish ladies, they
one of them passed away.
Yeah,
sadly.
and the other, and I don't know if it was the one that passed away. I think it was the one that passed away. No, it was the other one. I don't remember. Anyway, one of them, I think it was the one that passed away. Her family was suing Cohen because he led her to believe that it wasn't that kind of movie. Like, it was like he was there to learn a lesson or what. Like, they knew they were shooting a movie, and they knew that he was playing a character, but they weren't led to know exactly what character it was and what the context of everything was. And so after she passed, the family turned a lawsuit on Cohen.
I know he gave them some money.
Yeah.
Like, he gave her family some money.
I mean, it was no ill will toward like the thing,
the,
and I don't know. Again, I hate people that sue to just sue sometimes, and I don't know if that's what they were doing. If they looked at it and said, you know, maybe I hate to think that way about people, but I know there's people out there that look at something and say there's a buck to be made here. Can we turn tragedy into profit?
There's people who sue a place because it's in a wealthy area, and they assume that entity has money because of the area that it's in.
Right.
When really it doesn't.
Right.
People just assume that because where it is, where it's located,
right,
or who it is, or where, and what they do, they have money. But that's not the case.
Right. Yep. But the movie, I actually, after I watched the first one again, I liked the second one more. And maybe that's just a difference in my life, like where I was when the first one came out versus where I am now. Honestly.
Well, I mean, I was 25 when the first one came out. I was like in that frat boy mentality.
That's what I'm saying. Like where we were.
It was hilarious back then.
Absolutely.
But he was saying horrible things to people and getting people to, laugh about it and agree with it.
Well, and the Pamela Anderson thing just still, like, it's so far out there. The whole storyline with Pamela Anderson, how he wants to marry her and everything like that from the first one.
Yeah.
It didn't have the heart that the second one had. The second one to me is superior because I felt like it told a more complete story. The first one was more of that Jackass style movie, where this one felt more like a movie, and I kind of I think that's why I liked it a little bit after watching them back to back. I think that's what I liked more about. But oh my gosh, Amazon Prime spending the dough that they spent to buy the rights to that movie. This all goes back to the streaming thing again. How the heck are they making their money back off of that? I
don't know. That's a good question. I'm glad that they put it out before the election. I don't know if it, changed anybody's mind or swung the election toward Biden.
I doubt it.
But I'm glad it came out before the election.
No, there's no way. There's no way that movie had anything to do with anything. I feel like going into the election, going back to politics again, and we'll get away from it soon. But going into the election, I feel like people, after watching all the debates and everything on TV, I know they had their, every network had their own undecided voters that they had, after they would talk to afterwards and everything like that. Give me a break. None of those people were undecided. Not a single one of them. They had already made up their mind. And because then when they would go to them after the debate, like they had some crazy ideas as to, and frankly on both sides, but they had some crazy ideas as to why they were going to vote the way they were going to vote. They had those ideas already. That nothing about the debates changed anybody's mind. None of that movie changed anybody's mind. Everybody was either like, you are Trump or bust, or for whatever reason, Republican or bust, and you've sold your soul to a party to go vote for this guy. Or you knew the world needed to heal and you got to get that guy out of there. Our souls needed to heal. Because again, it goes back again, on a political side, there are policy things Republicans do that I agree with. There are things that Democrats do that I don't agree with. But I can't leave that guy in office. Not going to happen. Okay? Just from my soul standpoint. Like I can't from a mere presence for my son to look up to, right? The presidential office should be something that it used to be something that was celebrated when the president would speak. It was an address to the nation or whatever. People gathered around their TVs or their radios back in the day and listened, because it was a major moment. This was every time our current president did that, it was a circus. And you don't want your kids watching that. And so I don't. Well, I'm so grateful that we're going to have 4 years of a real presidency, that my son can grow up watching and seeing what it's really supposed to be like.
Yeah, I mean, I was scared for America. I was truly hoping that he would not get another term.
Right.
Because I feel that he's a nationalist, definitely. Like America's number one, America's the best, everybody else is horrible, and the people that are making it less great, we're going to ban the people, that are making us, not as great. We're not going to allow Muslims and Mexicans into our country anymore. We're going to ban them, because they don't make us great.
Right.
But, at the same time, we want white immigrants to come in. Those are racist policies.
Right.
Those are fascist.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy how dangerously close we were to fascism in this country. Fascism, you have nationalism, and then you militarize your citizenry, and you tell everybody that this one person is the only one who can save them. And make everything better. And, everything is about this one person, which is why in Nazi movies, you see them, hail Hitler, which is basically, where we were headed with Trump. I see these people who have those "Don't Tread on Me" flags and these rebel flags, and they're flying them right next to Trump flags. And none of them realize how dangerously close to Nazism we were.
Right. They don't.
It blows my mind.
They don't see it. Yep. And they never will. And
Mike Judge made Idiocracy back in 2002, 2003. Right. And he thought it would take 500 years for us to get to an idiocracy where everybody in America is
morons. We were this close.
It took less than 20.
We were this close to another term and everybody drinking Gatorade as instead of water. Or Mountain Dew. Gatorade, what was it? Mountain Dew?
On our crop. It's not it's basically Gatorade, but they call it something different.
It was like Powerade or something. I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember.
I don't remember the exact juice, but they were putting Gatorade on their crops and couldn't figure out why
they were dying.
The world had turned into a desert.
So I've told you this before, and the stream chat's bringing this up now, but I just binge watched The West Wing, and I got through the rest of the entire series while I was dealing with COVID, and by the end of that whole series, which again is a phenomenal series. There are people that turn up.
Which one?
The West Wing.
Oh, okay.
The West Wing. There are people that turn up in that series that I had no idea were going to be in it. Like it was fantastic. By the final season, Christian Chenoweth is like a main character, which I thought was wild. Like I didn't anticipate her being in it. Alan Alda shows up for like the last two seasons, and then Jimmy Smits and Alan Alda, because they go through the 8 years of Martin Sheen's presidency, and then in the last 2 seasons is the primaries for the next election, right? So the second to last season is the primaries for the next election, and then the final season is the next election. I don't hear it.
You don't hear the popcorn?
Popcorn? It's in your own house.
Yeah, I heard popcorn.
It's in your own house. There's no popcorn here, baby. So
nice.
So anyway, and so Alan Alda plays the Republican candidate, and then Jimmy Smits plays the Democrat candidate. And what's so funny is they are literally like by the last couple episodes of the last season, like that's when the election happens. Then they have like a transition, like what the transition of power is supposed to look like for like the last like 3 episodes or something. By the time the election episode happened, I wanted both those guys to win. Like it was such a great way to do it. Like it wasn't playing to Democrats or Republicans or whatever, because the Democrats are in the office the entire time. But they really make you. One of the best episodes in that is they have the final debate. I think they only do one debate between the 2 candidates, and they treat it like a real debate on CNBC. Like it looked like they shot it like in 60, and it looks very live video or whatever, and they have a moderator, and you never see any of the other, like they don't break away to like do any kind of cinematic whatever. Like it starts up like you're watching a debate, and he's like, welcome to the whatever year it was, presidential debate. I'm your moderator tonight, blah, 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 blah. And they introduce the candidates and then they ask them questions. And like, and again, like I don't know if they purposely did it, like if they challenged the actors to do this, but even Jimmy Smits and Alan Alda, like just like a normal debate, they flub their words a little bit and they have to like recover. And like they are phenomenal actors, but they either nailed that or they purposefully made them not scripted and took, I'd be very curious. Again, it's one of those things I'd be curious to know how they prepared for that particular, because it would be an interesting way to handle it as a director and say, okay, here are bullet points. These are the questions we're going to ask. We're going to send Jimmy with this group of people, and Alan, we're going to go send you with these group of people, and they're going to prep you as if you were real candidates and let you just rip and freelance out there the entire time, improv the entire time, right? I'm curious if that's the way they handled it, because the way it felt so natural. And then by the end of that debate, I was like, I would take either one of those guys as president. It was phenomenal. And that was they were purposely trying to make you do that. They were purposely trying to make you either pick a side or have to pick a side between the two candidates to vote for it. And so anyway, it was that, again, that's a series on Netflix that you, especially as an Aaron Sorkin fan, you need to get back. You need to watch that. Like, you need to start.
I know he wrote it, but who's the showrunner on that?
He was the showrunner until like season 4, I think, and then. Then they parted ways, and then they had somebody else come in to. Yeah, I think he stayed on as executive producer, or I don't. I think once he left, he didn't have anything to do with it.
Gotcha.
You could kind of see the shift in the dialogue a little bit, but you're so invested in the characters by that point, you want to finish it. It's still phenomenal.
Yeah.
They do some great things in that show. Like I said, some of the guest stars, as Chat's pointing out, like all of a sudden John Goodman shows up and you're like, what? And he's not just in it for like one episode, like he's in it for several episodes and has a prominent role in it. What's his name from Friends? Matthew Perry.
Perry?
Is in it for several episodes.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember who else showed up that I was like, what? There's a lot, and people, just like a normal White House kind of people, kind of come and go and take different jobs and whatever. But it's a fascinating look at the way the political world is supposed to be, and why, like, that show would inspire you to get into politics. And that's what I feel like we've been missing, other than how bad things have been for the last 3 years, just from a polarizing standpoint, inspiring somebody to join politics because they want to try to change it, right? There's nothing about it that, that you're like, because I say this all the time about the presidency. Who the heck wants that job? Okay. But just from
it's not the best and the brightest. It's the people who are seeking power.
Yeah. But and some of them seriously want change. Like, some of them seriously believe that they can help. There's been several presidents, not only in our lifetime, but before, that sought a presidency because they seriously believed they could help. It wasn't about power for them, or at least on the surface, it didn't seem to be. There's some presidents that it seemed very much about power, and it was just great. I just remember there was it was one of the speeches that Biden made during in this waiting period right after the election, before they really kind of solidified things and said, yeah, he's going to be the president. Some of the speeches he was making were I think one of the commentators pointed out, that was the most West Wing presidential speech we've ever heard, or something. Like, it was great. So you definitely, again, West Wing on Netflix, you got to check it out. It really is great. And I see why people were all about that show when it was on. It's really great television. And again, it's not just even though the Democrats are in power in the show, the Republicans that they have appear in it really take the Democrats to task over some of their ideas and policies and procedures, and to the point where you at least I did, can't agree with some of the Republican characters that what the Democrats are currently doing isn't the best way to go, kind of thing. So they tried to placate to some of that, some of that that audience. So it didn't just be a big Democrat wash across the board, which I did enjoy. I thought that was a smart way to do it back then.
And I finally watched Hamilton during all this.
Great. Oh my God. I love that.
Which, is also very good about, teaching, like the right from the left.
It's awesome. As I pointed out when we talked about it last, my favorite line is how they refer to themselves as Democrat or as immigrants. And I'm like, the founding fathers were immigrants. Wake up. Immigrants are okay. They are okay. Like, we were founded on the backs of immigrants. It's okay. Like it just, and obviously the idea of the entire cast are people of color. I freaking love that. Except for King George, which he.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
La da 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 da. Oh my God, that song! All of a sudden I'll just hear that playing off of one of the Echo speakers or something in the house. Either Jackson or the wife is playing it like somewhere in the house constantly. It's such
I didn't expect it to be so long. It's almost 3 hours long.
And that was my point about the cast, how they changed the cat, like the cat. Some of the cast members played multiple parts, and I thought that seems silly. It's such a long production to make them do. Like, they could have had a break, and you could have brought somebody else in to play Thomas Jefferson, for the second act. Like, you didn't have to have the same guy do the whole first act and then go, nope, you're not done yet, you son of a bee, get back in there. They could have brought somebody else in.
I liked it because, it made it more intimate and, more thoughtful, and, they incorporated everyone into the show. And
for my simple mind, sometimes it was hard to follow. All of a sudden, the same actor.
I get that. Not everybody is as open-minded as I am.
I wonder if they're because of obviously it's still a running show with different casts in different places. I wonder if
they still have the same characters.
If they do that, if they still continue that theme where the same actor that played, I can't remember the guy, what character he played in the first act, but then played Thomas Jefferson in the second act, or the girl that played one of the sisters and then played the mistress. If they continued that theme with the next cast, or if that was,
I'm sure in a few years the trademark or copyright or whatever will run out, and you'll start seeing more local productions of it. That I imagine, it'll be up to that specific director to, cast it however they want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think right now that's still like on that traveling Broadway productions traveling throughout the U.S. But I'm sure in a few years, whatever it is, I don't know what plays are through copyright or trademarked or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that'll expire here in a few years, and you'll start seeing different productions and a more varied cast.
Right.
For people like you.
Like I said, well, but that's the thing is, I wonder,
or we could do it ourselves. We could put on the production ourselves.
That's right. But that's where I just wonder if they're gonna if it'll be kind of a theme for people, even people like the smaller houses, the smaller civic theaters and stuff that want to do it. If that becomes a theme for that particular production, to have the same actor, if you're playing this person, you're also playing this person. Like that's just the way it works,
or perhaps the director wanted to make a statement, like, we don't have enough, people from different ethnic backgrounds on Broadway.
Right. Possibly
to have a varied cast. Maybe they were trying to make some kind of statement.
And it's honestly, it's the same thing too. I wonder if that becomes a statement in itself, where if you want to, even on a civic level or whatever, if you want to perform in Hamilton, because again, I haven't seen anything other than the original cast. So is that also kind of a requirement that, sorry, if you're going to be in it, you have to, you need people of color playing these roles, other than a King George role, kind of thing. Yeah. Like, is that, was that written as a statement for that particular production? I don't know these things. I'm just curious if that's the statement that they're making, and they should. Like, I would be totally on board with that. Like, that's the statement for that particular production. This is the way you do it. Your entire cast, except for King George, are people of color, and this person and this person play the same roles because that's the way we designed it, that's the way we wrote it, and that's the way it's going to be. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, even if you like think back to like Shakespeare's Othello, you know, the entire cast is white except for Othello, who is, you know, a Moor, a very dark black man.
Okay. I don't think I've read that or seen that.
Yeah, Othello. It's Shakespeare. The entire cast is white except for Othello, who is a black Moor.
Do I need to get the telestrator back out so I can circle what you just did wrong there?
Yes.
I'm sure this is what he did here, Mike. He went in and then he swung his arm in, and then that's what makes good football great.
I need to stop speaking. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Don't know what to do. Do I put them up or do I put them down? Or
here? I don't know what to do with my hands. They look huge. They look huge.
Huge.
Yes.
Bigly.
I feel like I have huge hands.
Bigly.
Bigly hands.
Bigly hands. And so, Idiocracy is, again, another great, like you pointed out, another great movie with a nice political commentary about it. West Wing obviously is great. And then what they did with Borat, the second Borat is phenomenal. Perfect satire for the times.
For the climate of the political world currently.
So I feel like and
there's been a wave of far right politics across the entire globe.
Okay.
The past 4 years, it's been crazy. Like this nationalism that's been going on, the Trump nationalism, it's swept across the globe. It's kind of sad.
Yes.
So instead of people thinking globalist and, what we need to do for the planet to come together as one and make everything better and, solve this pandemic problem as a globe, figured out as a global problem, we've had these nationalists come to power, and they only care about America. They only care about the Philippines, they only focus on their specific nation. Mm-hmm. And that really does need to come to an end.
Yeah, I agree.
We need to fix this planet.
Yes.
Quickly.
Well, hopefully things start moving in the right direction after January 20th. We'll see how it goes. Real quick, the babysitter in Borat 2. My theory is that she wasn't in on it when they started, but then they let her in on the joke after they got some stuff with her.
I read that she's mad. She's mad about it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't think she's seeking money, but she's mad that her genuine words, that came out of her mouth in the moment, are being construed into, a narrative that she didn't, have a part of.
Okay, so she didn't know. She really wasn't a part of any of it then. I mean, she wasn't in on the joke at all from the beginning.
I don't believe so. I believe those were her genuine words, genuine thoughts.
Because I felt like by the time Borat came to visit her at the end when the pandemic was going on and they had that moment in the backyard, that seemed staged to me. Like that she was in on the joke at that point. Everything early on wasn't.
I read a statement from her that she feels manipulated because her genuine words are what came through in the film.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough.
But they were manipulated into a narrative.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
again,
she's upset.
Those are going to be. I'm telling you, those are going to be the great things that you find out over time, like who was in on what. Because it was just like the first one. Like nobody knew Pam Anderson was in on the joke. She was the only one in on the joke. The place didn't know that was going to happen. None of her people knew it was going to happen. She knew it was going. She knew that he was going to try to roll her up in a satchel or whatever it was, or a rug or what. I can't remember what it was. He put a bag over her head. He was trying to put her in a big satchel or something. Yeah. But it came out.
I don't think I've seen that movie since 2006.
Yeah, it came out afterwards that she was in on it, but nobody else was. Getting off the political realm for just a little bit to kind of wrap some things up.
I'll step down off my soapbox.
to kind of wrap some things up. Again, there's so much that we need to discuss, but we're gonna have to save some things for later episodes, or else this thing will end up being the Lord of the Rings epic that it should be. But we'll get into some things. To get you started thinking about this, which we'll need to start talking about it on one of the next podcasts, holiday traditions, baby, holiday movies. I had been waiting since I saw the trailer for this movie to come out. Fat Man is freaking phenomenal. It is freaking phenomenal.
I've been scared to pull the trigger and watch
oh my God.
Because to me, it looked like one of those films that has a brilliant trailer, but the movie just falls apart.
The movie,
but I've been afraid to watch.
The movie never falls apart. The movie takes itself very seriously. If that is the one hang-up you might have, it feels a little slow because it takes itself very seriously. Like, I wondered how much of it was going to be kind of shenanigans of Walton Goggins, like trying to get, Mel Gibson's Fat Man, and failing constantly kind of thing, leading up to one big epic showdown. No, they don't, they don't get into their epic showdown until the end of the movie. And it's just all this build up to that. And the build up is kind of heartwarming. Like it is Kris Kringle just distraught with the world at the way, just the things that we're talking about, the way the world treats each other. Like the magic is gone. Like it's almost like it's almost like Elf. Like it's like the backstory is Elf, right? Like, you know what I mean? Where these people stopped believing in Santa Claus, and that's, that's kind of what it comes down. He's a grumpy old man because the world doesn't care anymore, and he hates it. And like I've seen her in other things, but I can't think of the actress's name that plays his wife. She's his Jiminy Cricket, and it's phenomenal. Like, she constantly is trying to help him along and talk things over with him. And then there's the great side story of like the military involved. I mean, it's so good. I watched it and I was laughing. There's one just phenomenal line where Walton Goggins is pumping gas, and he walks up to this kid playing with a little toy plane or something in the window of his car, and he walks up and he goes, "Hey, did you get that for Christmas?" The kid's like, "Uh-huh." He goes, "You know what I got for Christmas?" And he holds out his arm, and it's full of like burn marks, like cigarette burn marks. And he goes, I got menthols and the smell of burning flesh." Just like, yes, it was so good. It was so good. I mean,
that's awesome. What happens to John Bender when he grows up?
It's
there's a pack of cigarettes, Johnny. Smoke up.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm telling you, Fat Man is just, it's phenomenal. Like, they play into, I'm not even going to spoil it it's little things like that isn't necessarily spoiling it. But
I've been scouring the internet for recommendations, like if people recommend it or not. I can't find anything.
I didn't know it was out. Like, that was the thing. Was
I saw it on iTunes when it came out, but I've just been afraid to pull the trigger. I'm like looking for reviews, looking for thoughts, somebody to elaborate on it, to let me know if it's any good.
It's like $20. If you don't like it, you don't. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just who cares? It's $20. Like, it's not going to break the bank to get it. To me, does it trump Die Hard as my favorite all-time Christmas movie? Absolutely freaking not. But is it going to be in my top 5? Yep.
Christmas doesn't begin until Alan Rickman falls off.
It does not. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think I could almost. Can I give my top 5 like right now? Because it would be Die Hard, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Elf.
That would be top of my list.
Would it? Elf,
National Lampoons, yeah.
Home Alone, and then probably Fat Man. Like that's probably my top 5 right now.
Okay.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles like is close, but that's more of like, to me, that's more of like a Thanksgiving movie. Like that was just like a holiday movie.
I think of that as a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah, like that's just like a holiday movie, right?
There's not many Thanksgiving movies out there.
You're right.
But I do think of that one as a Turkey Day.
I actually talked to our grandfather on Turkey Day, and that's what he did. He watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He's like, I love watching this movie on Thanksgiving.
It's a great movie. I read somewhere that they're trying to remake it.
Please God, no.
Which
don't do it.
There's no point. The part where they're about to crash the car and he looks over at John Kennedy and he's like dressed up as the devil.
Then they turn into skeletons.
There's nothing that could ever top that.
Right.
Nothing.
No.
and Family Guy has spoofed it.
Right.
With Brian and Stewie.
Right. No, that's the thing. Like it's
and Stewie's the devil.
It's such a weird moment in that movie too, because it almost takes you out of the moment. It's like it is the what's his name in Home Alone? The tall gingly guy from Wonder Years. What's his name? Help me out.
The tall
Daniel Stern.
Guy
Daniel Stern when he's getting electrocuted and he
Gotcha.
turns into a skeleton for a second. Like it's almost this surreal moment that almost takes you out of the movie. But it's they did it in both movies. They did it in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and in Home Alone, and kind of in Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Large Marge. Where they kind of did that weird thing. Those are the 3 times that I remember, like in a movie where it didn't fit. It just kind of popped in there. They did like this real surreal kind of thing. But anyway,
my top 5. I don't know if I could think of a top 5.
Well, you have a hard time with lists anyway, but
I do. I would say National Lampoons, Christmas Vacation, Better Off Dead.
Wait, Better Off Dead is a Christmas movie?
I consider it a Christmas movie. Yeah.
Okay.
It has the skiing competition at the end.
You French fried when you should have pizzaed.
But yeah, Christmas does take place like right in the middle of that movie, and it's all there's a lot of snow and
Baby Yoda behind you looks like it wants to eat
skiing.
you. By the way,
huh?
Baby Yoda behind you looks like it wants to eat you.
Spoiler alert: Gorgu.
No, don't drop the name. My God, already?
It's dude, it's everywhere.
It really is
everywhere.
It really is.
If I hadn't seen that episode before yesterday, I would have been angry.
Yeah,
because it
really is everywhere. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It was just how quickly you did it. You're like, spoiler alert, Gorgu. Like, wait. Anyway, he's looking at
no, there's no waiting. It's everywhere.
He's looking at your
if I hadn't seen the latest episode of Mandalorian before Saturday, I would have been pissed off all day yesterday, all day today.
Yeah.
Because it's everywhere.
That's what
it's on the homepage of IMDb.
Yeah.
I saw it I got a YouTube message notification on my phone that had it.
It's
in
everywhere.
I'm getting notifications on my phone.
And this goes
with the name.
This goes back to the idea of even major releases in theaters. Why you need to go see them opening weekend. Because of things like that, it's the spoil. When you live in the age of the internet and how quickly information can travel and get in front of your face before you're ready for it. If you going to see Avengers beforehand, it was vitally important to go see Endgame in the theaters opening night. Because if you didn't, you literally had to shut yourself off from the world. You had to go crawl under a rock until you could go to the theater. Same thing with some of the Star Wars movies and whatever.
Well, it's like you used if you had to work late and you taped the Colts game while you were at work,
right?
But you can't do that anymore. You can't tape the Colts game and watch it later.
Somebody's going to walk next to you.
Somebody's going to say, "Hey, the Steelers won."
Do you remember?
Oh my God!
It was like when Infinity War came out. I remember having this conversation with my son. When we went to go see it, we left the movie theater, right? And it was kind of a weird vibe anyway because of how many people died in that or dusted or whatever in that movie. So you're already kind of down. It doesn't end on a happy note. But everybody that opening weekend, especially, you walked out of Infinity War in silence. Like, it was a thing. Like, people were respecting the idea of no spoilers, right? And I just remember walking out with my son going, okay, we can't talk about it until we get to the car. Like, and we walked in silence all the way out of that theater until we sat down in the car, and then we could talk about it. But that's the way, especially with these streaming shows right now. And that's one of the things where the weekly release that some of these streaming services are going to, like a Disney Plus with The Mandalorian, like some of the things that Amazon Prime does with The Boys or whatever other series, they do a weekly release instead of the Netflix, which dumps everything. Like, it'll dump all of Stranger Things at once, right? And then you got to hurry up and binge watch all 30 hours of that show, or else all of a sudden you're going to get spoiled the next time you go check your email, right? Yep. And by giving people the community experience of slowly, like, all you got to do is watch it Friday night. Like, if you can make it through Friday night, you're good, kind of thing with Mandalorian. Because if you get into Saturday and you start checking internet, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, or just turning on the freaking news, you're going to see something, or you're going to get into a chat and somebody's going to type something or whatever.
Yeah, it's in headlines.
Right.
I'm getting all these headlines.
Right.
On my phone.
On your phone. Pops up notifications. Boop, 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 boop. Gorgu, 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 Gorgu.
Gorgu. I'm like, what?
What?
Seriously,
what?
I would have been extremely upset.
Yeah.
If I had read those headlines prior to seeing that episode.
I agree. That's why, again, Mandalorian to me, that's a whenever I can help it, that is just, I treat each episode of Mandalorian just like I treated each movie in the Star Wars saga. I saw it at the first possible opportunity to not be spoiled by accident.
Well, I need to. I forget about it, and then you send me a text. You're like, "OMG, The Mandalorian this week," and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I need to watch that." I forget. I
get like even on
every week,
even on Twitch. I'll get in a chat on some streamer or something like that, and somebody starts to say something about it, and all these people like jump down their throats about spoilers, and I'm like, it's been out for a week.
They're everywhere.
It's been out for a week. What are you waiting on? Like, you're preventing anybody else from having a conversation about this because you can't get your stuff together and watch the newest episode within a week. Knock it off. Like, some of us want to talk about it. Seriously. Get your stuff together. Watch the episode at midnight like normal people.
I love how close it is to George. Like the name George.
Yeah.
Gorgu is like, if you look at it, it's so close to George.
This is Gorgu.
George and Gorgu.
Yeah.
Like I was almost waiting for Ahsoka to say his last name is Sakul.
Well, he's a character. I still have that.
Gorgu.
Do you have that? Do you still have that character?
Yeah. Oh.
In the box? You have it in the box?
Yes, that's still in the box. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Gorgu Sakul, George Lucas.
Of course. Well, again, I don't want it to turn into Mando. Mandos are, that was what I didn't want to get into. Mando's our next podcast. We gotta catch up on all the Mando and the lore and everything, because again, as I see you that GIF or that picture, the GIF, the meme.
GIF.
Actually, this one was a meme, but of the casual fans watching Mando, and he's like, it's Finn smiling, and then it's fans of Clone Wars and Rebels watching Mandalorian, and Finn's like, like, that's the way I felt because I watched those shows, and that opening scene with.
I haven't watched them all yet. I've started them. But I was like that because of the Akira Kurosawa samurai films.
Yeah.
Like, Dave Filoni paid homage to Akira Kurosawa
trust me,
so many times.
I got like
in last week's episode. Right. It was freaking phenomenal.
I remember after that opening scene, I was like, I turned to my wife and I said, because again, they keep this stuff secret until you watch it. Right, until it's released, they don't show you the director and they don't tell you the title until the day it's released. And so I had no idea that Filoni had actually directed that episode until I saw that first scene, and I said, "That's loud."
Sorry.
Until
one last gulp.
Good God!
In my ginger
I thought you were
ale.
like crushing it, like you were trying to pull the
it was
Ricky
the ice in my
Dreyfuss on the
ginger ale.
boat and like crunching the styrofoam cup. Like he does the clunk noise. I love that. That's my favorite part of that scene. Is Dreyfuss takes his last drink and he goes, "Clunk," and then he crushes it. They had to add in the sound effect. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, as soon as like they got done with that first scene, I was like, Dave Filoni. I said Dave Filoni totally directed this episode. He had to have. Like this has got his handwriting all over it, because of the way he handled the animated stuff and some of the stuff he did in the animated stuff.
I was like,
yeah.
Because of the samurai stuff.
All right. Yeah. I get it. Sure. Fair enough. And of course, it starts off with Ahsoka, and then I'm already freaking out, and then Michael Biehn shows up, and I was like, Michael Bihn's in this.
Oh, dude.
It's like,
that Johnny Ringo.
I was like, oh my God.
End.
Yeah. I mean, come on. It's so good.
Why, Johnny Ringo? You look like somebody who's walked over your grave.
Mike and Michael Biehn was like telling, like he was offering up advice to Filoni and some of the actors of how to present some of the more Western style with this stuff too. They were giving him a lot of props.
Well, that's the thing about the samurai movies, is that they came out as the same time as the Westerns in the US, and they fed off each other. Like you started getting elements of samurai movies and Westerns. You started getting, vice versa. You started getting elements of Westerns and samurai movies, and they made each other better. And then you get like remakes of the Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven, so on and so forth, which leads you to space westerns like Star Wars and The Mandalorian.
Well, like I said, lots to dive into there. There's a reason. As I've said and other people have said, there was a reason why Filoni was being dubbed the successor to Lucas on the creative side. Was the man thought like him. Like that's the way he thinks, and you can see it even with the love for the samurai movie and that style, and bringing in those motifs. He's been doing it since the animation side of things, and now that he's got a live action sandbox to play in. When he gets the opportunity to write and direct those episodes, it definitely shows. But we'll definitely get into a deep dive of Mandalorian season 2 on.
Well, we haven't even done a deep dive on season 1 yet.
We really haven't. We could just do a deep dive on Mando in general, or you know what? Let's do this. Here's what I want to do. I want to on the next episode. I want to get into where we are currently on season 2 and talk about some of the things that we've seen. Once season 2 is done, we'll do a rewatch of season 1 all the way through season 2, and hit every episode. Okay. Mando's that important to me.
Yeah.
I just feel like Mando is special TV right now. Like Mando is special TV.
It is. This every single episode this season has been off the charts phenomenal.
And Exhibitor Relations actually put out that, if you were releasing Mando in the theaters every single Friday and charging $20 as Disney, instead of releasing like Toy Story as a re-release, you would be making buku freaking dollars right now. I'm glad that they're not.
That's an interesting thought.
I'm glad that they're not doing that. But don't get me wrong, I would love to have seen or see some of these Mandalorian episodes.
That first episode on the big screen. Oh,
they're shooting all of them this season in anamorphic. Every single one of them is in anamorphic, and it looks beautiful. It looks phenomenal. And what's crazy to me is they're shooting it in anamorphic in a giant video wall, like on a giant video wall. Like, just mind blowing what they're doing and the way it looks and how they're making it look so damn good. Now, you know what? I'm going to save it for that. I have so many things that we could talk about for that. And I got to save it for the next one. Or else we'll go down the rabbit hole. But it was fun. I appreciate, I appreciate you coming back for this one, doing it remotely from your undisclosed location. I know it's a little different, but we needed to get this thing done. So tell me, where can the kids find you, sir, on social media? Not in your undisclosed location, but in social media.
I'm on at the Rut Legend.
On Twitter at the Rut Legend. And you can
I started a Twitch with the same handle.
You're on Twitch now.
I need you to help me.
Okay, you're on Twitch now at the Rut Legend. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm lost. I can't figure out how to stream.
Oh God. You gotta have a powerful.
Yes,
you gotta have a powerful
I
stream.
need help with my stream and my flow.
You gotta have a powerful stream, baby.
I want to stream my PS5.
Absolutely, and we'll get
because apparently they're hard to find.
Again, we'll get into that too. You son of a bee. You can find me without a PS5 on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Zach M. Rutledge. And ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.